And welcome back to the OHIO podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Buckeye Boggs, and this is Ohio State is doing it. They are doing what they have to do to get to the NCAA Tournament edition of the OHIO podcast. Do us a big favor and smash that like button. It absolutely helps the channel. We appreciate it. The other thing you can do is if you're not already, subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free, doesn't cost you a dime. And in fact, if you'd have done it just a second ago, you wouldn't have to do it right now. But since you didn't, please do it right now so that you can help us out. If at any point during this video something strikes your fancy, leave us a comment down in the comment section below. The magical YouTube algorithm appreciates that and it will send it out to more people much like yourself who enjoy Ohio State content. The Buckeye basketball team, that's right, we're talking hoops. We do that on this channel from time to time, although we are for the most part a football podcast. I like basketball. I'm sorry, I like basketball. It was actually my sport for many years. It was actually my favorite sport for a long time growing up. And I enjoy basketball, coached high school basketball for about 4 years or so, 3 years, and was pretty good at it. And I enjoyed it. And my dad was a really good basketball coach. So got to give props to the old pops for his basketball IQ. You know who else has got a really good basketball IQ? Jake Diebler, the Ohio State basketball coach. I love this guy. I've loved this guy from day one. I've known the Diebler family for a long time. I got to watch Jake and John Diebler play when they were in high school at Upper Sandusky High School and in Wyandotte County, Ohio, and watched them and their careers. Of course, Jake goes on to Valparaiso, has a really successful career there. Of course, John comes to Ohio State, breaks the all-time three-point shooting record. You all know the deal, but I love Jake. I think he's a phenomenal basketball coach, a lot like his old pops, who was a great high school basketball coach. I'm rooting for this team, man. I can't help it. I was probably I I did not like Chris Holtmann as a basketball coach. I'm not gonna lie. It was tough to watch Ohio State basketball under his tutelage, and I was ready for a change, man. Was ready for a change. We got that change last year, and we get immediate results. We beat upset number one Purdue in Jake's first interim game, and the rest is history. And he's building something special here. And if you guys haven't jumped on the Jake Diebler train yet, you need to, because the thing is going back to the NCAA tournament. I am confident in that. So last time we talked basketball, we knew the Illinois game was going to be really tough. We had Ryan on from the Keeping It Orange and Blue podcast, and Ryan told us, man, Illinois was going to come out guns a-blazing. The Buckeyes played tough, man. They played really good basketball. They had Illinois on the ropes, but the Illini was able to fight back. They get a big win. They get an 8-point win, 87-79 there in Champaign. And the 3-game winning streak that the Buckeyes was on was over. But they get to come back home, in which they did last night, Thursday night, came back home to take on Maryland, a Terps team who was ranked number 18th in the country, a Terps team who absolutely crushed us in their home barn back in December. But we didn't have our big guy, man. We didn't have our big guy. Bradshaw wasn't on the team at that point. That was the first game of many he would unfortunately not be able to play. And Maryland wore us out in the post. And so we had some revenge factor here, man. We had some revenge to owe them. And for personal reasons, I don't like Maryland. There's a podcast out there that I've had beef with for a couple years, and I don't like Maryland. They talk too much trash, in my opinion, for not being able to really back it up in anything other than maybe like, I don't know, like lacrosse or something, or field hockey. But I digress. We owed them one, man. And it was ugly. First half was ugly. When I came on the call-in show last night, I was mad. The first half wasn't going well. The Buckeyes fell behind. We were losing at one point 17 points. And we got absolutely embarrassed against this team last time. We owed them, and we needed this win. This was going to be a quad one win at home. We needed this W. And lo and behold, we had some things go our way at the end of the first half. We started fighting back. We started chipping. We got this thing to single digits before halftime. And then in the second half, we made the adjustment, dude. And despite the fact we didn't have Bradshaw again because he was apparently sick, which I find out in our interview with Tim Miller, which is coming up. So after I get through this little introduction here, guys, hang around. We interviewed Tim from Views from the Schott Podcast, and he's going to tell us a whole bunch more about the basketball team than I know because he covers it like I cover the football team, man. And so we're thankful to have him on. Looking forward to that interview. You're going to want to hear that. But I digress. Let's get back to the game. The Buckeyes fought back. They got this thing down to a couple points. They actually took the lead. Then Maryland got it back, and with the last seconds to go, we hit a game-winning three-pointer, and although Maryland was able to get one last shot at this thing to tie it, they couldn't do it. The Buckeyes come away with a 73-70 home win, a Tier 1 victory, man, quad 1 victory against the Terrapins, and all is right with the world. And the Buckeyes look like they are on a path to win and get back into the NCAA tournament. Let's look a little bit closer at how last night's games went statistically, shall we? All right. So, Ohio State shot the basketball at a 45.8% clip from the field yesterday. Maryland was only at 41.8. We outshot them from the three-point line at 25% of 4 of 16. They were 3 of 13. Free throws, we were 15 of 18. Maryland, 21 of 30, only 70% from the free throw line. The Maryland fans are going to feel like they gave the game away right there. We were out rebounded 36-30, including 11-8 on the offensive glass. We had 11 assists to Maryland's 10, 5 blocks to their 4, 7 steals by the Buckeyes defensively. Maryland, only 2. Maryland had 12 turnovers. Circle this stat right here. Ohio State was under 10 turnovers for the basketball game. Crazy stat. When Ohio State turns the basketball over less than 10 times, their chance of winning the basketball game goes through the roof. It is astronomical what the winning percentage is for the Buckeyes when they have less than 10 turnovers in a game. And each team had 20 fouls on the contest as well. Looking at the individual stats from the game for the Buckeyes, Devin Royal was on the. Looking at the individual stats last night from the Buckeyes, go down to number 2 there, Bruce Thornton, 40 minutes, 31 points. He never left the court last night. 40 minutes, 31 points to lead all scorers for the Buckeyes. Micah Parrish had a really nice game as well. 36 minutes, 13 points. Those were the only 2 in double digits. Devin Royal had a little bit of a rough night offensively. However, he did get 11 rebounds, filling in for the fact that Bradshaw was unavailable, and Sean Stewart, who fouled out, only played 15 minutes. He was really struggling with that size discrepancy against Maryland. Hats off to Devin Royal filling in big time last night in the post. But Sean Stewart only 15 minutes and only 2 points last night. The amazing freshman John Mobley Jr., 32 minutes last night. He only got 8 minutes of rest in this basketball game. 8 points for him. Evan Mahaffey, big time. Played half the game coming off the bench. 20 minutes, 6 points for him. Did get 3 rebounds. Quez Glover, 13 minutes off the bench, 4 points. And Ivan, he ended up with 10 minutes. I think that might be like a career high for him. Only 1 bucket, but he was filling some space in the paint last night, man. So the Buckeyes do what they have to do to stay alive, to keep themselves in the hunt for the NCAA tournament. And if you remember a week ago, I said this basketball team needs to go 5-3 in the month of February. And I told you they needed to win one of those 2 games between Illinois and Maryland. That was big. They needed to win one of those two. They get it. They get it at home against Maryland, which is what I thought would happen. I knew Illinois on the road was going to be tough. They ended up getting that win. So good on the Buckeyes. Next up for them, they've got 6 more games this month. We're going to review that at the end of the show. But next, after the quick commercial break, let's bring on Tim Miller from the Views from the Schott Podcast. A great interview. You're going to love the energy. You're going to love the excitement he brings. It's a lot of fun. Check it out. Stick around.
Hey, Buckeye Nation. The OHIO podcast is thrilled to partner with Export Mouthguards, the innovators redefining protection in contact sports. Introducing the Ninja Pro Mouthguard, the strongest and most advanced mouthguard on the market. Engineered by dental experts, it's designed to deliver elite protection with a sleek, low-profile fit. Made with carbon fiber and multi-layer construction, it's impact tested to keep you safe from even the hardest hits. But that's not all. The Ninja Pro is 3D printed for 100% custom fit, offering unbeatable comfort and security for any athlete. From football to MMA, dominate your game with confidence while safeguarding your teeth and jaw. Getting started is easy. Use our home impression kit to create your custom fit and enjoy prepaid shipping. It's protection delivered right to your door. Plus, with a 1-year warranty and 100% satisfaction guarantee, and proudly made in the USA, the Ninja Pro is your ultimate defense on the field or in the ring. And here's the best part. When you visit exportguards.com, use promo code OHIO at checkout to get 20% off your purchase. That's right, 20% off elite protection made just for you. Protect your game, protect your future. Choose Export Ninja Pro Mouthguards, where innovation meets protection. Head to exportguards.com and use promo code OHIO today.
And welcome back, everybody. And I am thankful to be joined by my special guest, Tim Miller from the Views from the Schott Podcast. Tim, welcome back to the OHIO Podcast.
Thanks. It's great to be here. Excited to talk Buckeye hoops.
Dude, coming off a win like that, it's easy to talk hoops, man. It's been a while since I've had this feeling of, like, I don't know how you feel. I feel like Diebler, having dealt with what he's had to deal with this year, injuries, players leaving, players in trouble, just an array of things, and not having the depth that he's needed, struggle to find a consistent rotation because of all of this. He's doing a killer job, dude. And this team they're fun to watch. It's like either they're gonna give you a great game and it's gonna be a nail biter, or they're gonna get blown out. But even if they get blown out, it's like a team that's like really good, a tier 1 team, and then they've blown a few teams out. Like, this is a fun team to watch. This is kind of what I was hoping for. It's what we're getting this season. Let's start with last night's game, man. Give me just your overall feeling and emotions watching that basketball game last night.
That was a game 2 minutes in. Ohio State starts 0 of 5 with 2 air balls, one of which came from the paint. I thought it was an awful matchup for Ohio State going into it. And then you get the news that Aaron Bradshaw's out. It felt like a very, very tough task to beat Maryland, even though you're at home. And thank the Lord I didn't put any money on Maryland to win this game, because I would have been out of luck. But yeah, I didn't think Ohio State had a chance, but they did the 2 things that they needed to do. They needed to stop Maryland in transition, and they gave up, I think, the second least amount of transition points they've allowed in a game this year, or the second least amount of points scored Maryland has scored in a game this year in transition. And then they also scored their second least amount of points off turnovers in this game as well. The only team to score or to allow less was Marquette with 5. Ohio State gave up 6 points off turnovers. So when you look at those 2 numbers combined, like, that was the story. That was the way Ohio State was going to win the game, was limiting points off of turnovers and limiting points in transition. That's what they did. And then when it got to winning time, when it got to crunch time, Bruce Thornton has been bad this year. He's turned the ball over. He's clanked shots. It's been ugly. But he banks one in, and that was an incredible shot. I'm sitting there watching it. At that point, I'm standing watching it, because that's not something that you sit down for. You know,
Right.
Ohio State's going to have a shot at the last second, and he gets it and it goes in. And then you get kind of a weird last possession. Of course, we got to go to the monitors. That's what we do in college basketball and
Yeah.
ruin the flow of the game. But Ohio State picks up the win. It's huge quad one win. Huge for a team that it looked like a really poor matchup without Aaron Bradshaw. It was an awesome win for sure.
Yeah, three things in response to you there, man. It's kind of like in baseball when you're in a slump and you just need to catch a break at the plate and you get a sing eye single, man. Like it was banked. It's like who cares? It still counts, man. And then so not having Bradshaw, I thought was going to be because if you go back to the first time we played Maryland in December, they crushed us in the paint. Like they jumped out to a huge lead. We had no presence in the paint. We couldn't stop them in the paint. We don't have Bradshaw. I'm thinking, and God bless Stewart. He's trying. He's not a true five, but he's trying. And Yvonne is not ready for Division I college basketball currently, but it's what you got, right? But my gosh, just the effort in the second half, and you hit the nail on the head, man. Like everything that they had to have happen happened, and it goes that way for them, dude. And thank goodness for that. And it was a revenge game. It was a revenge game. They kicked our butts in Maryland, and we came back and got them beat, got that dub. Tell me, first full season under Diebler. Again, I've mentioned at the beginning of this interview all the things he's had to deal with. What's your impression of the job he's done thus far?
Well, he did himself no favors with the schedule that he gave himself in year one. Texas A&M was already there. We already knew Ohio State was going to go to Texas A&M for a home and home, but he said, let's go to Vegas. 9 p.m. There'll be like 200 people in the stands. Let's go to Vegas to start the year against Texas. They win that game. Bring in Pitt at home on Black Friday. That's just a weird game, 2:00 start time. And Pitt is on the bubble right now. They're not a bad team. You got Auburn, you got Kentucky. Like, there were plenty of games that he could have lost. And then the Big Ten gave him no favors by scheduling Michigan State, Oregon, Purdue all in the first month of Big Ten play. So he had no favors given to him. But you look at that, you look at the combination of Ohio State would say Michi Johnson is still on the team. He hasn't played since December 17th. So you tell me. But you don't have Michi Johnson Jr. You dealt with injuries with Aaron Bradshaw, Sean Stewart, Quez Glover, Colin White, Kalen Etzler, and Austin Parks were both out for a game as well. I know they're not huge contributors, but he's been through the ringer this year, and he has his team in the NCAA tournament right now. Like, it could not have been a more difficult path in year one for a guy replacing 4 out of 5 starters. One of those guys on the bench, but you still are replacing him, and Evan Mahaffey from last year. This was not going to be an easy task. And right now, he has a team in the tournament. Now, they might miss the NCAA tournament. Who knows? But right now, you have to give him a passing grade in year one with all of the crap he's had to go through, and they're still projected to be playing in March.
Yeah, absolutely. You said that so perfectly, man. Absolutely. All right. Let's talk a little bit about this schedule moving forward, right? I looked at you in December. You got those 2 weird Big Ten games in December, and then you go back to non-con before you start your conference play. They go 1-1. They get crushed in Maryland. They come home. They beat Rutgers. You have your January schedule that you mentioned was difficult. They end up going 4-4, if I recall correctly, in that month, which is what they absolutely had to do, right? And then I look at where they're at in February, and it's like, okay, you're on a 3-game winning streak, but you're going to an Illinois team whose back's in the corner, who has to have that win at home. You knew you were going to get their absolute best shot, and gosh darn it, if you didn't just go cold in the last 10 minutes of that game, you had them on the ropes too, but you let them off the ropes. You come home, you had to have this win. I felt like this was almost kind of like a get right game. Let's take care of that revenge. Let's get rid of that. It's a big tier 1 game. You get it at home. If you get that W, all feels right again. You got 6 games left this month. Outside of the game against the team up north, which you get at home, by the way. Some are saying on the road at Nebraska is going to be a difficult game. I think it will be, but I think they can win that one.
Mhm.
And then you got a bunch of teams you really should beat at home. I said going into this, they had to go at least 5-3. I felt like 5-3 was good. I think 6-2 was possible. Where are you at on this month? Getting through February here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's one of the most favorable months that you could really ask for. I understand you got to go to UCLA and to USC, and those will be tough at the end of the month. But right now, coming into the season, I called this stretch right here from Maryland to Northwestern. I think it's 5 or 6 games as the green zone for Ohio State. This is where you can start to pick up a bunch of W's. And as you're scrolling through ESPN, watching, looking at Ohio State's schedule, you're going to see green W, green W, green W. This could be the spot. So, like, if you're mostly an Ohio State football fan and you're like, man, that championship was awesome, and I don't know what we're gonna do at DC, but we still got a title. And now you're like, well, what's the Ohio State basketball team gonna do? Like, this is the time to start watching. I
Yes.
think, you like you said, like Maryland, that was a huge win. That was an absolutely huge win based on the matchup. You get it at home, you come back. That was awesome. And now things get really, really interesting because, like you said, Nebraska, that can be tough, but it's a quad one win if they get it. Even though Nebraska isn't the best because it's away, that'll be a quad one game. You get Washington, which is screams alarm bells going off as a trap game because you're looking at the big game on Sunday where Roddy Gale Jr. comes back to Columbus. That's going to be a wild environment. I cannot wait for that game. But that game is winnable too. It's at home,
Yep.
and I'm honestly kind of more concerned about Washington than I am playing on Sunday because Washington is going to be a quad 3 loss if they lose because it's at home. Washington is not good. It would be the only quad 3 game Ohio State has left to lose, and they haven't lost one this year. But then you pick up games against Northwestern and one other team that I can't remember the week after. These are all more than winnable games. This could be a spot where Ohio State could just check it off the box and say, yeah, we're going to the tournament after this stretch before they get to USC and UCLA. If they happen to win all of them, for sure, I think you're good to go.
Yeah.
But even if you win, 4 of 6, you're still in a really good spot.
Yeah. There's 4 games between now and the LA trip. You got Nebraska, you have Washington, you have Northwestern, and you have the team up north. So those are the
Yep.
4. Those are the 4 games. I'm saying, hey man, I feel like 3-1, but 4-0 is doable here. But if you're going to do that, you got to win the first one. So it starts there. So you feel pretty firm that this team currently is off the bubble and is in.
I would say, like, if I could say upper bubble, like they're not in last 4 in territory. Yeah. They're not a lock, but right now, like any bracketologist you look at who knows what they're talking about is going to have Ohio State like 9-10 range. Mm-hmm. So they're certainly not in for sure. They're not like Pitt, who is gasping for air right now, trying to get in. That's a team that Ohio State pays attention to. They're not like Texas necessarily, who I would say is definitely like upper bubble. Nebraska needs this win more than Ohio State does, but I mean, they're in good shape right now. They're in a really, really solid spot. That's not to say that they're in for sure. Every game down the stretch is going to mean a lot, which is really exciting, I think, for Ohio State. But I would say they're in a good spot right now. Like everyone's going to project them to be in at this point.
Would you take a play? I call them play-in games. Those first 4 extra NCAA tournament games, which I despise. But would you take one if that's where we ended up?
If that's where you end up, you're probably like, what the heck happened to us? Like this got really bad really quickly. If you're playing in Dayton, something went wrong at this point. You're taking steps backward, especially because for Ohio State, it's not a matter of picking up quality wins. Their non-conference schedule, fine. They play in the Big Ten. They're fine. Like no one's in a better spot than Ohio State when it comes to that. So it's kind of easy for them. It doesn't matter who they beat. It doesn't matter who they lose to. As long as they pick up 4 more wins in the regular season, they're in the NCAA tournament. It's that simple. They can go 4-4 and they're in at this point. So if you go like 2-6 and then you win a game of the Big Ten tournament, that probably spells like 11 seed. You're playing, I don't know, Texas in round one of the first four, the Tuesday or Wednesday game. So me personally, I would not love that. I don't think that's good for Ohio State. You want momentum going into the tournament, but hey, better than the past 2 years, I guess.
True. That's true. But yeah, you're right. We don't want that. We want to continue to build on this momentum. Let's turn the page from this team a little bit and give me some perspective of where you see this team moving forward. Now, I know that's really hard to do in the era and where we live, where literally every offseason is roster building now. It's not just who's coming in that we can build upon, but so let's take the fact that when we came into this season, I viewed Mobley Jr. as like, hey, he's a freshman. He's going to get some playing time. We'll see what his development looks like. No, he's a starter, and he's one of the top scorers on the team, and we got to depend on him, right? And then Royal, who I was really looking forward to his development when we spoke early on the season. I was like, this is a guy who can really develop. He's going to be a great sixth man. No, he's your second leading scorer on the team. He's got to be dependent. Like, I feel like moving forward, if we project this thing into the future and we're able to retain everybody, Ohio State moving forward, where do you like? Are we like building something really good here? And we're just at those beginning stages.
The thing I love about Jake Diebler is that he gets Ohio State basketball in a way that like Chris Holtmann couldn't. Like,
Thank
I'm
you.
not here to sling mud at Chris Holtmann. That's
I
been
will
done
if you want me
enough.
to. That's fine. I can do
You
that.
can do that in your own time. I would rather not. I think we got to move past that and just. Some people still hate Jake Diebler, which is fine. I just think
What?
like we live
Why?
we live in a world right now where Ohio State is in the NCAA tournament. Like, let's just you can go play in your wet puddle of trash, and that's fine. Like, I'm not gonna keep you from that. Just please don't do it near me right now. As for me, I'm gonna enjoy the fact that Ohio State's in the NCAA tournament as of today. That could change, and they could be out, but right now they're in. So let's just enjoy that. But the thing I like about Diebler, he's from Ohio. He grew up in Ohio.
Yep.
He understands Ohio State basketball. His brother obviously played here and was great. So I think that really gives you a little extra. Not that you need motivation when you're a Division I men's basketball coach, but my gosh, this guy loves Ohio State basketball. He loves Ohio State basketball. You can tell how much this opportunity means to him. And I think that is huge. He wants to recruit the state of Ohio really, really well. I think that is huge as well. The roster next year, is Bruce Thornton going to be back? I don't know. Is he going to the NBA? Is someone going to come drop a bag on him? Who freaking knows? Like,
Oh man,
that
that scares
scares
me to
me.
death.
Yeah, like John Mobley Jr. What if he gets offered a bag? Like, you look at all the movement that happened last year, and Felix Okpara saw Aaron Bradshaw get signed and said, I'd rather go start somewhere and not have to worry about losing playing time to someone and not starting. So he went to Tennessee, and Tennessee said, here's a bag, come take it. And he said, okay, cool. So like, it could happen with anyone. So it's impossible to know. Like, projecting next year, hopefully Mobley Jr. is back. Hopefully Thornton is back. Hopefully Royal is back. I'd take a Sean Stewart back. You got Dorian Jones and Amari Bynum coming in as freshmen as well. I don't know. I don't know who the players are going to be. Me personally, I was pro Dusty May. I wasn't anti Jake Diebler. I said, give me the guy who had won at freaking FAU. That's pretty impressive. But look, Diebler's done a great job with the program at this point in the season. That could change after these next 6 games or whatever, and we're really upset again. But to this point, I'm going to react slowly and say Ohio State's on the right track, and they should be fighting for protected seats. That should be Ohio State basketball. Not like we might be an 11 seed playing in Dayton. That's like Pitt stuff. I don't know why I keep bringing up Pitt. I guess because we played them, but
And we should have beat them, by the way.
Should have beat them. That's a tough loss. The Oregon
Yeah.
game, a really tough loss because you're beating them. This could be a team that is easily in right now. Had a couple games broken their way, so maybe you blame Diebler on that. I don't know. I'm pro Jake Diebler right now. Ask me again in a month, it may be different, but right now, cool. We're going to the tournament.
I would be remiss, Tim, if I didn't ask you if you knew anything about Michi. I don't know the basketball stuff like I do basketball. I have zero insiders in basketball. I don't know anybody associated with the program outside of yourself, Tim. So to me, it feels like this is a personal issue. This is something either mental or something associated with a family member or something. And maybe you can't answer as far as like what you do know and you're not allowed to say, but if that's the case, is he okay? That's all I really care about.
Michi Johnson Jr. is still with the Ohio State University men's basketball program. He's still a member of the team. The team hopes that he will be okay and they will welcome him back when the time is right. That is what the team will say. And that's about all you're going to get from me. When the season's over and maybe we can talk about things more in depth, sure, I'm happy to do so. Ohio State would say that he's with the team, and that's all that I will say as well.
I just hope he's okay. That's my
He's
main
okay.
thing, man. Okay,
Yeah,
thank
he's
you.
okay.
That's all I really care about, man. I just want to make sure the guy's all right, man. Because he's it's been like this enigma, or I can't figure out. But dude, okay. Any last thoughts that you got for me? Anything that Buckeye fans should know coming into February, looking out towards March? Any last thoughts, my brother?
I think it's such a fun time. Like, it certainly we want to be back to the days when Ohio State was fighting for a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Like, that's crazy. That's how good this program was at one time. And you want to be back there, but I mean, we can turn on a game against Maryland, and that game means a lot. And then they're going to go play at Nebraska, and that game, like, this is a technically still a bubble team. They're not in, but this is just so fun to watch every single night that this team plays. Like, it means a lot. Um, it kind of, you can't really relate it to like Ohio State football. You can kind of relate it, I guess, to like a team when you're watching the NFL and they show the graphic of teams in the hunt. And that's kind of where Ohio State is right now, where every game really means so much. So that's what's fun to me. Like, you're going to go play Nebraska. That's a random game, but it means a lot. And then obviously you have the game on Sunday against a huge rival. That game means a lot for many other reasons. If you don't have tickets to that game, oh my gosh, do yourself a favor. If you can go to that game, because I think it's going to be absolutely insane. But it's just fun. Like, you're playing teams that are legit. You are a legit team. It's probably just like, I've been scooped up by like a foster parent and said, hey, I know the past 2 years of your life were absolutely awful, but here's a blankie and it's going to be okay. Like, I'm being patted on the head.
Some
This
chalky
team's
milk and some
fighting
nuggets, baby.
Exactly. This team's fighting for a freaking 8 seed, and we're all thankful at this point. It could be worse. Chris Holtmann hadn't been fired at this time last year. Like, it was that freaking bad that we hadn't made it to that point yet. So I'm just enjoying it. Like, I hope you enjoy it. I hope everyone watching the show, like, will tune in to Ohio State basketball. Like, yeah, pretty fun this year. John Moley Jr. can freaking shoot the ball. Sean Stewart will dunk on your head. Bruce Thornton is thick as heck, and he'll get himself and his huge Hawks down in the paint and score on you. Like, it's a fun team, and it'll hurt at some point when they finally do lose. Maybe they don't make the tournament, but I don't know. I'm having fun. And we talked about it before. I know you're on your show last night, like, watching the game. Like, that's so fun where you're like, like, I'll stop the show. We're gonna watch this game.
Yeah, I'm gonna give
like,
you all play-by-play. I know we're supposed to be talking football, but guys, it's tied up. We were down 17 freaking points. It was, dude. This talk, I tell you what, man. I think if you don't have a theme song, I'm gonna give you a theme song. Do 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 do. Tim Miller, everybody.
Yeah,
got me fired up, man. You got me fired up.
It's fun. It's fun, and like, it's probably me too. Like, I have been carrying the weight of hosting an Ohio State basketball podcast. I started this thing when things, like, at the very beginning of things being bad. This would be, I think, my 3rd season fully covering the team. And I started it in like February of not last season, the season before, whatever year that was, like 2022 with Bryce Sensenbaugh. And things were starting to get bad. And then last year, things were like awful. And it just sucked to do a show every night. Like, well, Ohio State has lost again. And so there's hope. And the game last night was just so fun, and you got to enjoy that too. So it's a good time.
Saint Tim Miller, everybody, carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders through the Chris
Poor
Holtman
me.
era, and now
Little
he's
old
walking
me.
on the water, baby, looking for an
Mhm.
8 seed, my man.
You got it. Just get us into the tournament. If we have to get spanked by Duke in round 2, that's fine. Just get us in and let's have a little fun.
Never know, man. Hey, when we've played Duke, even Chris Holtman's beat Duke, man.
If
So I
Chris
mean,
Holtman can do it, why can't Jake Diebler? Many are questioning that. Actually, I'm hearing the chants right now that we want Duke. I'm hearing the Ohio State fan base saying, "Give us Duke in the second round of the NCAA tournament. We'll take on Cooper
oh,
Flag."
maybe we can beat another SEC team so the student sections can start chanting SEC
Yeah,
again.
that would be great.
Maybe that'll happen.
Can
Tim,
you
yeah, go for it.
I have one question for you. Can you
Sure.
ask something or just tell me something about Ohio State football? Like I talk Ohio State basketball all the time. I'm a huge Ohio State football fan. So what do we need to talk about here when it comes to Ohio State football? I got to get into that.
What do we need to talk about? Like you and me, or like in general?
Just anyone. Like I don't care. Like me and you specifically, yeah, probably right now. But like, do you have any thoughts on the Ohio State football? Actually, let me go this way. Let me give you my thoughts, and then
Okay,
you can piggyback off that. So
sure.
here's my thing. Ohio State just wins a title. This is
Mm-hmm.
not like the 2014 title where you're returning everyone and you're expecting an even better season, and then you lose Michigan State and it's over. You've lost both coordinators. You've lost your O-line coach. A lot of transition there, and you're shoving people in the NFL draft. Am I crazy? Probably. Am I crazy for saying, you know what? If you beat the team up north and win 9 games next year, I'm not really all that upset. I
Oh
hate the team.
no, not at
So
all,
we're good?
dude.
We're good with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All
Like
right.
no, I think let me give you an analogy here.
Okay.
So where we are at right now, if to understand this from a basketball perspective, is Jake Diebler just won the Big Ten for the second time in a row, and we made a Final Four, right?
Mhm.
And so it's like, hey, the team's not going to be as good next year. We understand that, but we got Jake Diebler. All is right. We may have lost a couple of assistants, and people are like, you're probably not going to be as good, and this team might be better than you guys in conference and things, but we're Ohio State, baby. We just won it, like, so that's kind of the analogy I'm at. Like, no, like I think right now, like the way the fan base feels about Day is I alluded it to this. This is my analogy was like we did a poll. A third of the fan base wanted him fired. A third was like, you can't fire him. He's too good. And a third was, well, let's wait and see what happens in the playoffs. And then we go
Mhm.
win the whole doggone thing.
Yeah.
And now the entire fan base is like, he's our guy, dude. This is the
Mhm.
man. He's going to do it. So here's the thing. There's one thing left that he needs to do. He needs to beat that team up north. And
Mhm.
I say this, Ryan Day is our quarterback. We are Travion Henderson. We are Quinshawn Judkins. He's going to snap the ball. This fan base is going to push Ryan Day for across the
Okay.
goal line. Like
Okay.
we got your back, brother. Like this
Mhm.
entire fan base is like, you just be the Ryan Day we saw in those playoffs. We're going to beat him, man. We're going to
Yeah.
beat him. And not only are we going to beat him, maybe the NCAA is going to beat him too. So
Yeah.
this is really good times to be a Buckeye fan.
Mhm.
And that bleeds over into the basketball. I really do believe. I think Jake Diebler is slowly winning this fan base back, one
Mhm.
game at a time. Get into the NCAA tournament. That's what I wanted, man. Get me back to the NCAA tournament. I think he's going to do that, and then let's keep building this thing. NIL is going to be a big part of that. I think we're going to be able to retain some guys through NIL, and not only that. I think we got the right athletic director too.
Mhm.
I really like Ross Bjork, and that's big for a basketball program that isn't the major program on campus, right? And not
Yeah.
only that, go check out the women's hockey team.
Mhm.
Holy crap, are they good? Like,
Yeah.
We got sports just oozing out of our orifices here at Ohio State
Mhm.
that are really, really good. And so jump on the train, man. Jump on. Tell everybody where they can find the views from the Schott Podcast, Tim.
So anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can find us there. Be advised, the Nut House decided to review bomb the views from the Shot Podcast on Spotify. So if you want to be a good guy or gal today, give a 5-star review. If you want the lore on that, you can DM me. You can find us on X. You can find us on Instagram at the Shot Pod. Have some tweets just going nuts today. So that's fun. A lot of people loving some stuff I posted last night. And then you can also subscribe on YouTube. So get there. This is the only year-round Ohio State basketball exclusive podcast. So I suggest, if it's not the worst thing in the world to get some Ohio State basketball in your life, then maybe check it out.
It's good. It's the way I look at it is like this, guys. I'm your meat and potatoes. You need to make sure you have a balanced diet. So
Mhm.
here's what I want you all to do. Go over to the Views from the Shot YouTube channel. Subscribe to this man's channel. Go wherever you download podcasts. Make sure you're subscribed. Give the guy a 5-star review. Help a brother out, man. He is my guy when it comes to Ohio State basketball. I would have it no other way. Make sure you support him. Tim, thanks for coming on, brother.
Thanks for having me. Go Bucks.
Hey, everybody. It's Buckeye Boggs from the OHIO podcast. If you could do me a big favor, there's one way you all can help right now the growth of this channel. That is giving us a thumbs up. Hit that like button if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook. The other thing you can do is you can become a member by joining our monthly membership. It's only $3.99. If you become a member, you will receive this awesome t-shirt, an official OHIO podcast member t-shirt. After you've been a member for 1 month, we will send that to you in the mail. Also, you can, when you do that, you'll get access to free content behind the scenes that we have only for members only. You will also be able to have extra little icons and graphics that you can use, little emojis that are specific to just this channel that only members have as well. The other thing you can do is you can purchase merch from our store. And so if you go on over to the ohiopodcast.com, the ohiopodcast.com, as you see here in the URL at the top there, you'll see that there's links at the top of the page for all of our articles that you can read: football, recruiting, basketball, other sports, podcasts, etc. You can email us. There's a contact there. We also have a store. The store is ran by Chris, the Wild Man. He runs an online store that you can get all kinds of memorabilia as well as a few items from the OHIO podcast. But if you want OHIO podcast merchandise, t-shirts, hats, etc., you're going to want to click on this merch link. And this takes you to Campus Sideline, who we have partnered with in creating official OHIO podcast merchandise. So the new alternate logo, that is our main logo now. White, you get it white, you can get it red. The famous We Want Angry Ryan Day t-shirt in white or red. We have that in a white hoodie, as well as the OHIO podcast in a white hoodie, and the fitted OHIO podcast hat as well. There's the prices for all of that is below each item. If you click on it, you can pick your size, add it to the cart, etc. We go from small all the way up to 5XL. And there is a little bit extra upcharge on the 4 and 5XLs, but that's to be expected. I'm sure any big guys out there will know that already. Anything that's beyond $50, you can do 4 interest-free installments with that as well. So if you get a big order and you don't want to pay for it all at once, you can do 4 installment payments for that as well. Campus Sideline, they print things off about every 2 to 3 weeks. So if you order, that order might take a couple weeks to print off and then ship to you, but it will get to you, we promise. And of course, the more people are ordering, the faster they will want to make those prints and get those shipped out to everybody. So please, you want to help us out, go on over here to our website, theohiopodcast.com. Go over to the merch store, click on merch, buy yourself some official OHIO podcast merch, and that will help us out here at the OHIO podcast. Thank you so much, guys. We really do appreciate all of your support. And of course, keep watching, keep loving the Buckeyes. We're going to be here. We're going to keep talking about them all off season and into the fall this upcoming year. Until next time, OH. Thank you to Tim from the Views from the Schott Podcast for joining us, man. Do me a big favor, guys. Go support that young man. He is doing God's work, man. The only basketball only year-round podcast in the Ohio State podcasting sphere. Dude's doing God's work. He deserves your support. And so please, by all means, consider doing that, helping him out. So as promised, I said we were going to take a look at the schedule here to finish out the show. Let's do that right now. Let's take a look at the schedule. Let's talk about it so that we know exactly where we're at and where this team needs to be and where they're heading here to finish out the season. All right. So as you can see, we had that loss at Champaign, Illinois, 87-79. Came back home, got that big W we've been talking about tonight over Maryland, 73-70. Next up is this Sunday. We go on the road this Sunday, 2 o'clock Eastern at Nebraska. This is not going to be an easy game. This is a lot like Illinois. This is a team whose back is in the corner, who needs a big win. This would be a huge win for them. We do not need Nebraska leapfrogging us and getting in front of us and consider having people consider them over us for the NCAA tournament. So we need Ohio State to go win this game. And then check out what happens. We come home for 3 straight home games. Washington next Wednesday, the Scum the following Sunday, and then the Wildcats of Northwestern the following Thursday before we go on the road in Los Angeles for the West Coast road trip at UCLA on February 23rd, at USC on February 26th. So let me break this down for you. I need a win this Sunday against Nebraska. I was counting on that being a W for Ohio State. Then we have a home game against Washington. That should be a win. Home game against the team up north. Give me a coin toss. Even if we lose it, let me show you how we can still get to 5-3 for the month, even with that loss. Home game against Northwestern, that needs to be a win. Then we need to win one of 2 out in LA. Either UCLA or USC. I don't care. We need to win one of those 2. If we do that, beat Nebraska, Washington, Northwestern, and either UCLA or USC, we're going 5-3 in this month. Now, if we do beat Scum at home on Sunday, February 16th, and we do beat Nebraska this Sunday, and we just split one of 2 out west, now we're at 6-2. That is how I said we can get to 6-2. And the way this team was playing to finish out the month of January, I felt like that's a possibility. I still feel like that's a possibility. Last night's win over Maryland, it keeps the door open to going 6-2 this month. Hey, but 5-3 is still doable. 5-3 is where this team needs to be. We go 5-3. I think that's still what we have to do in order to get into the NCAA tournament. But like Tim said, 4-4 probably going to get you in. 4-4 probably still going to get you in. But let's just not get in. Let's make sure that we're safe to get in. Let's at least go 5-3. And it all starts this Sunday with a win at Lincoln against Nebraska. Dangerous team that beat Illinois. However, Illinois was without one of their starters when they did that. Dangerous team, good basketball team, solid basketball team. They're going to have home court advantage, big home game for them, rowdy crowd. Ohio State needs to go in there and they need to get a W. They need to get a win in Lincoln. Huge, huge game for Ohio State. I was counting that as a W. I'm still counting that as a W. We need to get that win. All right. So that's what we are hoping for. That's what we are rooting for. And that's what we need to see, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this episode of the OHIO podcast. If you haven't already, smash that like button. We absolutely need it. We need it. We love it. We got to have it. It's the least you can do. You can also subscribe to the channel. I'm sure you have. If you've watched this whole thing and you haven't subscribed to us, may I ask why? Leave me a comment why you didn't subscribe. See what I did there? I got you to comment. There. Leave me a comment, guys. Let me know how much you enjoy talking Ohio State basketball. I know it's not the favorite thing for a lot of Buckeye fans, but you need to get into it. This team deserves our support. Let's back the Buckeyes. Let's back the Hoopsters, man. Jake Diebler needs it. Love me some Jake Diebler. Love that kid, man. Absolutely love Jake Diebler. He's Ryan Day 2.0. He's the basketball version of Ryan Day, except he's from Ohio. He's a Buckeye, man. He is a Buckeye. And as Tim said, he absolutely loves Ohio State basketball. Appreciate y'all. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Don't forget our live show this Sunday night, 8 o'clock Eastern. We'll have a special guest, Mello from the Buckeye Boys, going to be with us Sunday night. We're going to be watching the Super Bowl. We're going to be talking about the Buckeyes. We have all kinds of great topics Sunday night. I believe Corey will be back Monday night for a little therapy. Dr. Corey in the house Monday night, 8 o'clock Eastern. Don't miss that. Make sure you check out all the videos coming your way. Ring the bell. Get notified so you don't miss anything. Till next time, be kind to one another. I owe someone's OH. Sing Carmen Heil with all your heart. Go Buckeyes!